Hello, hello. How's it going, everyone? We're a little different today. With our normal kind of stuff. I've changed the angle a bit on the camera. That's all. No, I'm kidding. We have a completely different setup today. If you saw on the Twitter, I just put out a tweet saying we're live. There's a picture of the setup. A little janky today. You can actually see this in the in the camera view. That's interesting. I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's fine. Here's my fancy camera. Not really, but this is important. Yeah. So normally on our Thursday streams, we're doing our like art streams and stuff, and we're still doing that. But instead of doing like something on the iPad or something in Photoshop or something in After Effects or Source Filmmaker, whatever it is, we're doing some paper drawing. I got a table in front of me that I have video footage of, obviously, and we're gonna do some paper drawing. I figured it might be something interesting. It's been something that I've been like partially getting back into. I'll show you two things that I'm doing right now. Not really sure, but if you were part of the sub chat on Discord, then you would have seen one of these early, the second one not so much, but it's not that much different. But either way, I can show you guys. And it's important because I think today, the plan is going to be to draw another one of these guys, but kind of change up the design a little bit. I've been character designing, if you will. I've been kind of just concept designing, just lightly, and also getting a little bit more familiar again with doing stuff on paper because it's been a little while. I think the last time I did something on paper was like maybe. I think I did something on paper for something probably last year, technically, but that kind of doesn't count because it wasn't much. It was just kind of like I had like a video project for school that I was doing, and I'm like, hey, look, things I can do. It's more complicated than that. Technically, I guess that counts, but not really. If it's actual true art that I was doing for just the purpose of doing art, probably like either the start of college or the end of high school, or probably 2016, 2017 era, I would have to think. So yeah, that's a thing. Anyway, so getting back into that, there's a couple things that I like about. Oh my god, I left some like stuff I wanted to use on my desk, on the other side of the desk. That's useful. Anyway, there's two things that I like doing usually in drawing on paper. You guys know my style. If you've seen my, streams of doing art on an iPad and stuff like that, you guys kind of know the style of that. It's not super complex. It's usually something that's fairly simple in shapes and stuff like that. And we usually do something with thick outlines around the edge, and then we kind of just line it with a black line through it, and then we have like white highlights on one side and black on the other side that we usually set to like overlay or something like that to cheat the colors. We can't quite do that on paper. That doesn't quite work the same way. But that's fine. I have ways around that. So, yeah. I don't know if we'll be doing a lot of coloring today. That may not happen. We'll see how far we get with it. Because this will be a bit of a different process, because we'll be kind of like coming up with concepts and kind of like thinking, what would look good? What should we do? What should we add? So hey, if you're here in the chat, just you guys have your opinions as well on it, which is something. So if I'm doing something, you're like, hey, you should do this, let me know. But I think if we do some coloring, I have some colors, not a lot. I color with pencil crayons usually. Usually what I do is I draw something with a pencil and concept that up. And then from there, once we're happy with something, I kind of fill in the pencil lines a little bit more so we can see it a bit better. I don't know how well that's going to show up on stream, but we'll see. And then I usually go over and line the whole thing with a permanent marker. Usually a fine line permanent marker, and then we do an outline with thicker permanent marker so we get that kind of look that I was talking about. And then from there, if I want to do coloring, we just do something with pencil crayons. And it's kind of reverse of what we do digitally, where we put in all the color and then we take away to add lighting. In this, it's kind of we draw the color around where the lighting would be, at least for white, because if you put pencil crayon on where the white is, in theory you'd have to erase it, and erasing pencil crayon is not super easy. So you just don't draw where you want the whites to be. So that's really the only difference that way. The darker, you just add more color, or you put a different color that's darker, depending. So yeah. Alright, so here, I'm going to switch over. I'm going to show you guys what we have on the table right now that you guys can see. I'm going to leave my pencil on there for artistic reasons. There you go. Ooh. Art. Art is fancy. I gotta go all the way over here. I'm not trying to be too loud, I'm sorry. Ooh, where is it? Aha! There it is. Fancy, fancy, right? Look at that. Pop, 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 pop. We got a table with some paper and a microphone. So yeah, this is what I've been working on. Just partially, just lightly, not like super serious by any means. But I'm like, I'd like to have like another character. We have our character in the emotes, you know, the little angry chibi emote, which we did on stream and everything like that. But that was like a derivative thing of some old avatar that I used and updated so we could use it now. And I don't hate that avatar by any means, but I would like to have a specific riskRED one, or at least redesign the Reaper character a little bit. So that's what I was trying to do with these two things. This was the first one. This one I was doing like concepts and going back over and trying new things, and eventually I settled on this, and I lined this and everything, and I colored it in with pencil crayon and everything. So that's what we got there. So I did that, and then I was like, okay, I want to redraw them and change a few things that I think might be better to do. One, I wanted to up the proportions of a few things, so I did it again, and upped his arm proportions, made his arms a bit thicker, made the hoodie kind of a bit baggier, and not as tight as this one. It has a bit more of a thicker curve to it. I gave him 3 teeth and made the teeth bigger, and then I added little like bits for actual eyes out of the holes, because we have that in the Reaper character already. And the little strings off the hoodie, that was just something I forgot to do on this. And then the bottom part's pretty much the same because I like that part. So this I don't hate either. I didn't color this in. I did color this in digitally. If you take like a picture of this and then you play around with the color settings, you can get the black outline pretty much extracted, and you can use that digitally and then color stuff in the way you want. So that's pretty cool. So I did that. I don't have that up right now to show you, but it's nothing super fancy either. So, you know, whatever. So it's basically just a flatter version color of what this is. If you've seen my art on an iPad, that's basically the same kind of look. I did it in Photoshop, but it looks very similar to that kind of stuff. So that's what I did with that one. That's why there's no color on them here. So when I did this one, there's a few things when I look back to this one, I was like, I like this one still more. And I think for some of the reasons is the fact that I like that the hoodie feels a little bit more exaggerated. This feels like it's trying to simplify the shapes. It's like one shape going like, you know, straight like this and trying to fit in that. This hoodie feels like it's bigger than the rest of the body. Not completely, but just a little bit. And I also don't like the teeth being bigger. I feel like that makes it a little too cartoony. I like the simple nature. This feels kind of Tim Burton-y a little bit more than this one. This one feels like Cartoon Network show. This feels like a Tim Burton like sketchbook thing. Just a little bit more. I like this just a little bit more. I think the color helps too, just having that kind of scratchy color. The other thing, there's a couple other like scratchy patterns. For one, I didn't completely fill in the eyes here. They're kind of like scratchy black lines around, same as in the actual hood itself. It just gives it that kind of rush, like, I don't want to say rushed vibe, but more like that rough. I guess rough is what I'm looking for. It feels a little bit more like a sketch rather than like something that's refined like this. I think I like that a bit more, but I think one of the main reasons I really like this is just the proportions. He's a bit shorter. I made him a bit taller on this one, and then again I simplified the shapes a little bit more so that it was more of like a, there's really no like higher kind of weight to one of these shapes, you know, everything's kind of like fits in a rectangle. But with this, I feel like the body fits more in a rectangle, and then there's more of like a square to the head. Like the head feels a bit bigger than the rest of it, again, just by a little bit. So I think the idea for today, at least my thought, would be to try to draw another version of this, maybe really exaggerating, almost in a chibi sense once again, and really exaggerating this look and really making it like more of a exaggerated sort of thing, but keeping some of the elements I like. I like that the head is really big and the teeth aren't like super significant on this one. I like that on this one. I like the rough look of some of the colors, but that's like a minor thing we don't need to do for a while until we get to lining it. And again, we may or may not color it, I'm not really sure. I had a train going by, I'm just gonna wait for that. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I have one of my windows open today, so that's a thing. Anyway, so there's that. Also, permanent markers, you get bleed through like this. That's super fun. Hey, look at that. Nah. So yeah. Before we get to drawing the actual other version of this, which we will be drawing on another piece of paper, let me look through and see if I can find some other art that I have in the sketchbook. There's not a lot because I haven't used the sketchbook too much, but here's something. Aha! This paper's a little thin, so you can see stuff through it, but if I do this, it should be fine. There you go. So this, it says it was 18. Oops, I screwed it up again. Yeah, whatever. Can we get it so that it doesn't show that completely through it? There we go. So I was 18 when I did this. I drew this little eyeball thing. It was kind of supposed to be like a mix of cartoony and realistic. I kind of like having that kind of based on realism, but it doesn't really look real. It's just kind of that like sketchy vibe. I like that vibe a lot, at least with like pure pencil drawings, which this is obviously. So yeah, and like always, you just put your little signature with your age. That's why I know it's 18 when I drew that, because that's what it says. I've had a sketchbook for a really long time, but I never really used it much at all. So yeah. So again, there's not a lot in here, but there is one thing at the start that I think would be funny to look at. That's not anything either. Here's one thing that might be slightly significant. Here it is. As you can see, there it is there. I have this kind of drawing that's kind of based off of gorillas. I think for the most part this entire body was copied from some gorillas artwork picture, because, you know, I was like that. Again, how old was I here? I was 18. I doubt that. Yeah, maybe I was 18, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I was younger than that. You know what? I might be reading that wrong. It might be 16. I accidentally scuffed it. because the one part of the line looks a little like weird. So it might be 16. That could make more sense. It looks like it says 18, but I think just knowing myself and how I could have scuffed that up. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Yeah, so this I drew, and I kind of used it based off of some Gorilla's artwork pictures. Obviously, the face is the more original part of it. It was just something to try, right? And what I did is I obviously lined it, permanent marker, all that kind of stuff. And then I, again, did the same thing I said earlier. I took a picture of it, and I did coloring in through digital. And I actually put lines. I don't know if you guys can see these, but there's actually lines on this, like little pencil lines, that's specifying like where the lighting should be. Like there's like a chunk here and here, and this is where the shadow should be. So I have some of that throughout this artwork as well. So I did eventually color this in digitally as well. I believe that's on my DeviantArt page too. I don't know if I have that linked anywhere outside of that, but there you go. There's that. Oh god, that's terrifying. Nothing useful. Getting through these sheets is terrible. Here's the thing I wanted to show you. This is the first page of the book, and I know I was a lot younger when I did this. I don't know how old I was. Obviously, this is not marked with age, but this is almost done, I think, in Crayon. You've got to realize. Again, I had this book for years and years, and I only found it, like, you know, a while ago, but probably when I was, like, you know, end of high school when I found it, but I probably had it when I was maybe, like, 8. I got to assume, when I drew this. Looks great. Looks fantastic. I like that the mouth is just an H. That's pretty cool. The eyes are fine, they're cartoony enough, those aren't terrible. Hair is kind of weird. He's got a little pocket, look at that, look at that, look at that. I draw jackets and hoodies the exact same way still today. They're good to know. I don't quite draw pants the same way. I don't draw pockets filled in, I end the pocket. But yeah, either way, interesting. I like how I tried to draw a wrinkle there too, by the way, and there. Look at that. That's some extra effort. So yeah, that's something. I think this is supposed to be a cape for this guy, but I always picture it as like he's just in front of a chain link fence. I don't know, dude. I think it's a cape though. So anyway, he's Superhero. Hero. Anyway. Yeah, anyway, that's just some random art in there. That one's the terrible one, but you know what I mean. So yeah. Here's this again. I guess we'll actually probably switch the page from this and just try to draw it new. So I might just see if I can get to a fresh page. There's a fresh page. Wow. Alright, so there we go. Alright, let's start with this. Try to do something of interest, of value, something cool, something nice. And yeah, let's try that. So my thought would be, I want to try to draw this fairly big, so I'm thinking like his head. So there's a couple ways that I do drawing on paper a little bit to mark things a little bit more importantly. So something that I did, and I learned this in high school, and I've talked time and time again about high school and stuff like that for doing art and stuff like that. The main one being that in high school, I didn't like my art teacher very much because he wanted me to make like more realistic art, and he always marked my stuff really bad because I didn't like to do realistic art. I like to do cartoony stuff. And when I did realistic art, it wasn't super great, because there were so many people doing art that their like realism art was like so amazing. It was like, you know, when you go on like TikTok or Instagram or something and you see somebody doing art and you're like, oh my god, this looks like a photo. They were all like that. So like mine's not anywhere near that level in realism. So then it's just like this kind of, it's one of those things that you get used to that like skill level, so anything below that seems automatically worse. So even if I did realism, it was not marked high anyway. So I'm like, screw it, I'm just gonna do cartoony stuff better than I could ever do. So that's what I'll do. Hey Steve, how's it going? Pipe is right. But yeah. So the one thing that I learned in that is partially useful is like a dot system thing to do art. So like I would do, so let's say we're doing the head of the skull guy, right? So we put like a dot there, and then what's the size I want? Maybe like here. You do these fairly light. I know you guys can't really see it too well. That's fine. So then I do like another dot. Here would probably be the outside of the circle, maybe on this side. You end up making like kind of a cross shape. And you can kind of finesse the dots a little bit if you're not happy with where it is, like that one. And then you can kind of connect those and make a circle. And if you're not confident enough in connecting those, you can add another 4, since it's a circle. And yeah, so that's kind of what I do for figuring out the circle, and then I would draw that around those dots. So I'm going to do that now. This will be our head of our guy. You don't have to stick purely to the dots that you make either. So there's that. I probably won't do fully anyway. Looks like I might have made the dots a little too close together, but that's fine. It's just a reference point, right? Some people will use other shapes to figure out the shapes they want to do later, which is also a good way to do it, I guess. I'm going to make this a bit flatter because of the way the skull is. See if I can get this to be the vibe I want. I kind of want to flatten it out at the bottom a little bit, like this. Either way. So there's that, and if there's any dots that you didn't use and you don't want anymore, you can just erase them. Then you're good, and then you got a little circle friend. I realize it's probably a little dim for you guys, but don't worry. We got a circle. Isn't that great? So good. Okay, so this is our head. This is our head of our dude. Banger, yeah, dude. Circle. We drew a circle. Oh, we're done. All right, see you. See you next stream, everybody. See ya. All right. Anyway, but yeah, so. Man, just get away with a stream doing that. That'd be great. Yeah. So, again, this is our head of our dude. So I think the thought from there would be we're going to add the teeth. So the teeth, I think, we're kind of going to... Here's the thing. We got to decide on the angle we're going to draw, too, here. So that's a thought. We're probably going to stick to a pretty similar angle as what we did before. I'm thinking he's probably going to look like, if his head had to be on an angle, it's probably going to be like this way. Probably like a little down and a little, like kind of like that. So like this is the center of his face, and he's looking like this way a little bit. So we can leave these lines here for now, just so that we're able to keep the thing consistent. But that's my thought. So his teeth would probably start around here. And we're going to go for the smaller teeth, I think. That's the general thought, anyway. And again, these shapes don't have to be perfect or anything like that, too, because we can literally just change it as we go. I'm going to end his teeth about here, maybe? I'm thinking with the angle, it's probably gonna end his teeth there. The line here for his teeth might be a bit darker. Dante? What do you mean, Dante? Am I drawing somebody named Dante now, and I don't know it? Or am I just not experienced enough to know what you're talking about? Probably both. I realize that's probably the answer. That spacing actually worked out pretty good just from sheer willpower and guessing. Oh, Dante. I didn't even see you come in. And now I do. The message was late. Hello, Dante. How are you? Not experienced streamer. Definitely not. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Vaughn, Steve here is just here to make fun of me for anything I'm doing right now. Doing well. I'm glad to hear it. What have you been up to in your day? We're just here drawing a little Scully man. We only just started. But hopefully we'll get through this and make something interesting out of it. Guy's head's a little round. And not that I'm against that, but I want to condense a little bit of that roundness. See if we can do that a little bit. And then once we do that, yeah, that did not condense any of the roundness whatsoever. I was hoping. I think it actually might be the top of the head that I want to change. I want to get that kind of, that big brain look, you know what I mean? That Jimmy Neutron. I got that skull capacity for that big brain. That sort of thing. Get that kind of angle so that we got that bigger brain capacity. There we go. Yeah, that's what I want. Make it a bit angular. Change this a little bit. Is it easier to draw on paper versus the iPad? That is a harder question to answer than it may seem. Because the advantages of an iPad, the things that you'll get from that is the ability to, like, oh, I screwed up a line, I can just hit undo and then I'm done. And doing colors is a lot easier because you can just kind of usually fill them in and you don't really have to worry about it. And any sort of shading you can use, like layer styles and stuff to change what the colors are going to look like. So those are kind of the features there. On paper, the advantage is that it just feels a little bit more natural. Unless you have like one of those like half gloves that kind of cover your palm and make it so it doesn't crack on your iPad, which not everybody has, especially if you're doing iPad drawing. I don't have one, so anytime I'm drawing on an iPad, I draw like literally without my hand on the iPad, but on paper I can just rest it, have a much more comfortable kind of point of contact. So that's an automatic advantage. Whoa, Dante with the tier 1 sub. Oh my god, dude. Oh wait, Steve, you gifted the sub. Dude, amazing. Man. And now you are. Dude, here, look. I just recently switched streaming software. The way the alerts come up is completely different than what I'm used to. You gotta give me some slack. I'm just saying. But yes, doesn't matter. You know what? Steve, fine. I'm not even gonna give you credit then. If you're gonna complain about it, Dante, thanks for the sub. I appreciate it. You weren't gifted that at all, you just did it. Oh, the BBB. I don't know if that's what Steve calls you. I can't remember. But welcome. This is actually your first time here? Is that true? I feel like that's not true. I feel like you've been here on the stream before. But maybe not, I don't know. I'm just trying to find like a reason for Twitch to like call them out and be like, things are wrong and awry. Alright, I'm gonna start while we're here. We can continue the conversations as per normal, but I'm gonna start doing the hood around this guy. Actually, you know what? Let's draw the eyes first, because it's a little uncomfortable that he doesn't have any eyes. Let's start doing that. I'm going to draw him with like slightly longer, kind of oval-shaped eyes. I was going for straight circles before, but I think the oval-shaped eyes are where to go. There's one. I might not like where that is right now. We'll see. Yeah, I'm not going to like where that eye is. We'll move that over in a minute. I think it's spaced over too much from the center here. Literally the eyes here are going to determine all of the perspective, so I want to get them in the right spot. We vibing? We are vibing. We're just having a chill out time. Drawing some stuff. Now let's get this done. Alright, I don't hate that eye. I think this eye is the one that's over too much. But we can fix that. Might make the eyes a bit bigger too, I'm not even sure. Because I keep saying, like, I just want to do this so that everything's exaggerated a bit, but we keep doing that, and then I'm like, oh, let's not do that. I keep holding back from that statement. No, those eyes look even worse. Let me try exaggerating them. I like the eyes that we had before on the original drawing I showed earlier, but I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna try for more of a circle. See how I feel about that. And also trying to make them a bit bigger. Big vibes? Big vibes for sure. I don't know if we have Cat Jam activated on this chat. We should. DJ Kumo, hello! Welcome to the stream. How's it going? I hope that you're having a good day with whatever you're doing outside of watching the stream right now. I think everybody's just vibing today. It's that kind of day. I woke up this morning and I was just like defeated. I still feel that way a little bit. Why I was partially late from my scheduled time. I just felt tired. I did not sleep well last night myself. Oof. It was very warm in my house. The weather's been like that recently. Okay, I like this eye. I think I'm going to make this eye bigger. Did you know who I was before Prof connected us? For those of you who do not know, HC2932 has joined the cult. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. And welcome to the stream. Whoa! The Roto Radar, the Sean the Pfeiffer. Hey, what's up? It's good. Oh my god. I'm doing great. We're having a good old time. I keep forgetting I have that emote on the channel. RR Nation in the house. Hell yeah, dude. Welcome, welcome. Everybody from the RR Nation. The Roto Radar Nation. We're just sitting here vibing, having a chat. But I was gonna... hold on, I was gonna answer a question that Steve had. Yes. Did you know who I was before Prof connected us? So, I'll provide context for that. I met Steve through one of my college professors. And did I know him before that happened? No, not really. Here for the good vibes, that's great. Oh my god. The follows coming in. Everybody that's following right now. I appreciate that quite a lot. Thank you. I truly do. We're just kind of here vibing. It's always a good time. Yes, Desert Zombie, thanks for the follow. One of you guys just came in from that. Beavis, there's a lot of you in the Roto Radar Nation, but I mean, that's good. That's good. That's what we like to see. Alright. I think we got the eyes the way I want them. They're pretty big now. Again, this is kind of just character concept design, so if you guys have ideas, let me know. Ooh, the Doge, dude. Dude, is that an actual, like, real, like, Twitch animated emote? That's not even a BTTV thing? I know they added those recently. I haven't seen any of them in action, but I've heard all about them. I want to have some on the channel here, but Twitch is, like, super slow with getting anything out. What's up? Not much. And you? I think, okay, so here, I'll do something for you guys just because I know some of you guys just came in. Give me a minute. So, we're drawing this kind of character based off some other concept designs that I did. That's the wrong page. I can't open things. Here it is. So these are the things that I drew in advance, just in my spare time. I'm drawing some concept characters from just trying to do some stuff, redesign some stuff. So these are the two things that I drew. This was my second version of this. So I wanted to kind of change a few things here because I like this guy better. Yo, those are dope. Well, thank you. Thank you. Oh my god, there's so many coming out. Yeah, oh, Miggy Piggy, thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. Yeah, so, like, I like this one a lot. This one is just, like, actually all colored in and completed. This was my initial concept of this. KSBerry7, also thanks for the follow. So, I did this second one. You can easily sell those as NFTs. You know, I thought about that too. I saw about that too. Girl Dad, thanks for the follow. Here's the thing. I put these in Steve's Discord because he told me to do it. And I immediately did that. And then somebody said how their project looked like this. And then everybody was more interested in that. So that... I don't know. I literally did that. And that was that. Crispy bacon. Oh my god, crispy bacon. I like me some crispy bacon. Nice animation. Ah, cool. Yeah. I had to get into actual, like, animation. I've never gotten into, like, doing that. Like I have, but I've never committed to actually, like, learning enough to do it. Which is unfortunate, because if I did that when I was younger, I could do that easily now. You're about to blow up? Oh, that'd be great. Well, not literally, though. I want to still be around tomorrow. If I end up actually blowing up, that would be probably bad. Bacon makes everything better. It does, doesn't it? Bacon's great. Okay, let me go back to this other one. Hopefully we get to the actual permanent marker lining so we can see this a little bit better, because I realize it's a little dim. But there it is. Dead bacon is delicious. Well, I mean, technically, yeah, I guess all bacon that you eat is dead, right? If you're eating, like, alive bacon, that would be a little worse. Love your shirt. Oh, why thank you. I try to get shirts that are, like, nice and colorful. I like colorful, like, designs, but on, like, simple shirts. I only own, like, 2 white shirts. But they look a lot nicer on stream, so I might need to buy some more. Raw bacon's no good. No, it's not. Usually need to cook that bacon first. At least in my experience. I'm redrawing the teeth here because I need the perspective to be a little bit more correct. We don't quite have it in the right spot yet. I'm trying to appeal to these curve lines we have here. Well, you don't like the medium rare bacon? Nah, usually not. Usually I like kind of that well done bacon rather than straight up medium rare. Got a little bit of that, I don't know, slimy texture. I'm not into that. Alright, let's get this teeth here. I'd like to draw the hood in a second. All you need is bacon and a blast of butter popcorn. Ooh, that sounds fancy. And so many of you guys coming out from Roto Radar there. Appreciate it. And thanks, Sean, for coming on out. I assume you probably let everybody know. So I appreciate that. Thank you. I think we're good on the teeth. I might add one more, just like a smaller one. For perspective reasons. Oh, there you go. That makes that looks good. Sean is the GOAT, for sure. Definitely. Can agree. Alright, I think we got the faces as much as I can like it right now. Might just... I'm so much of like a perfectionist. I will spend like 10 days on like one thing. Outside of like shot to the moon stuff, because I don't have that much time. But if I did have that much time, I would do it. Sorry about that, I hit the table. Okay. So let's draw the little hood here. I think we'll probably start up here. Maybe angle it a little bit. The way I draw a hood is I draw kind of the start of it, because the start of it's kind of like a rounded triangle, kind of like that. And then you can kind of draw the hood around it and add the depth after. That's what we're gonna do. You gotta think of everything as basic shapes. I think that's the easiest way to think about it. Watch out, Sean might ask you for a Roto Radar logo drawn after seeing your work. Yeah. Usually I have people asking me for something pretty quick. Not saying that's a bad thing. I'm used to it at this point, though. Your work deserves more eyeballs. Well, thank you. I'm just here doing my thing. People come out to watch the stream, then, you know. I appreciate it. I realize some people are busy, though. I never expect it. I'm just here having a good time. And if you're here too, then that's real cool. I think I might have drawn this part of the hood a little too shallow, but yeah, I did. That's fine. We can draw this a little bit better, a little bit nicer. We're drawing a slightly different perspective, so things are throwing me off a little bit. Artist minds are amazing. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff that I find out of just doing art after a while is like looking at stuff and like trying to do something, failing, and trying to figure out like what you did wrong. And then when you do something the next time, you just kind of try again and see if your solution to the last problem is what's going to work. I'm 3 months cancer-free today. Oh my god. That's amazing. Dude, that's awesome. Congrats. Holy. Let's keep that number going up, too. Better. Nice, dude. My stickman drawing is better than you. Well, yes, of course. Oh, man. Hope everyone else is doing awesome today, because I'm in a positive mood and feeling great. Well, that's fantastic. I can only ever wish somebody to be feeling real good. Feeling terrible is awful, obviously. Kind of makes sense in the name of it, but can't be feeling bad. We need everybody in good health. Yeah, but that's sweet, though. Alright, I think we got the hood inside part figured out. I made it a little bit tighter than I was thinking, but I think we can work with that. I think the hood's gonna, with this perspective, probably start somewhere here. Maybe. I'm gonna try to draw this a little bit sharper than I did in the original artwork. It's awesome news to start the day. It is. Positive vibes and crispy bacon strips. Only the crispy. I gotta be honest, as a kid when it came to bacon strips, I was always like, dude, you need those like soft, you need the chewy bacon strips. And then as I got older, I was like, nope. I was very wrong. It's all about the crispy. Any day. You know what? I don't hate that, but I think this should be coming down a little bit more. The bacon emote. Perfect. That's exactly what works here in this conversation. Damn, I need that bacon emote. There's so many use cases for that. Okay, okay. I drew the collar a bit lower because I needed to be on the right perspective here with this part of the hoodie. Yeah, there we go. There we go, there we go. Got it, got it. Okay, so the reason we're doing this look is that we can draw the hoodie out from here. So I can draw from this line, and then up, and we can figure it out. RR Nation. Hell yeah, more of you from RR Nation, the Roto Radar. Astro Infinity, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. Always here to support the fam. Fatty McGee. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Isn't Fatty McGee a Adam Sandler character? Isn't that a thing? If that's what that's supposed to be. Yep, nice. I love it. You're great. Thanks for the follow, by the way. And this color reminds me of that cartoon, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Yeah. I did think about that. I think the original two drawings that I did, that I just showed, the one where I made the teeth a little bit bigger on it, that one definitely gave me that vibe, which I wasn't against, but I like the smaller teeth from the first one I did, so that's why we went with this. But I do see where you're coming from. Okay. Love Fatty McGee and Lunch Ladyland. Yeah. It's so good. I'll always have something like in my life that I'll eventually like come back to like thinking about Adam Sandler's comedy albums and be like, yep, that applies to this current situation. No one ever remembers Sandler's Fatty McGee. Great call. Yeah. It's always fun. Whenever, like, good comedy albums are great. Okay, let's do that in. Yeah, that looks good. I was worried about that. Nice, I only know how to draw stick figures. Here's the thing, though. People diss on the stick figures, but stick figures are good. You know, if you're, like, able to draw them at least doing something that you can understand what's going on, stick figures are real good. Actually, one of the first things I ever did with art was, there was a thing, oh, what was it called? I think it was called, like, Pivot? It was like a little, like, stop-motion animation, like, program thing, and you got these, like, stick figures, and they had, like, limbs and stuff, and then you could, like, move their limbs by, like, touching the nodes, and you could make, like, animations out of that. And you'd, like, pick a phrase, or, like, you'd make a new frame, and you just move them. And, I mean, that was all it was. And so, like, that was one of the first things I did that was, like, with art and animation and stuff. I can only draw stick figures. Again, it's totally fine. Stick it? Yes, that was that one too. I think Pivot was also the name of one. I think that was the one I used. I think Stick It was like another one. That might have been one on the Mac. Or something. There was a few of them. That's why I teach early childhood. I can easily pick up what 3 to 5 year olds can draw. Perfect. I can't draw for crap, so this is cool to watch you create. Yeah, I mean, typically on my art streams, my idea is that I obviously like to draw some cool stuff, but if you're interested in knowing stuff about art, I try to share my opinion as much as possible on what I'm doing. And then hopefully that's something that you guys can learn from if you want to start doing art and stuff. Just trying to finesse the top of this. It's a little too wide for my liking. I can draw numbers 0 to 9. Woo! I can't even do that. Alright, let's do that. There we go, that's what I want. My only concern, I'm not trying to be like super vulgar, but my only concern that I started to notice with drawing these characters was like, when I put them in silhouette, they kind of look a little, phallic. But anyway. Never mind, ignore I said that, I didn't say anything. Alright. I thought about adding like a neck portion to this guy. Kind of like, you know, just like, I guess, the spine. But when I tried to do it on my original drawings, I didn't like it. I don't know, it didn't look good. It looked better when he was like just a floating skull head and a hoodie. I think I'm gonna leave it that way. Like the dude from Superbad. Exactly. It's so good. Looks like a bobblehead, huh? Yeah, a little bit. Okay, so now we can start drawing the body a little bit. I'm gonna try to finesse a little bit. I think with this perspective, I think I can actually draw the hoodie a little out from this guy's head just to make him feel a little bit more inside. I think I can literally just do this. Give him a bit of depth here. Maybe extend this line out a little bit. Even though we already drew most of the hoodie. I know it sounds kind of cliche to say it, but like, Bob Ross literally had this one thing that he says about his paintings that I can never not think of when drawing or doing any art, which is literally like, think about drawing in layers and stuff and try to make things have like layers and depth to it as much as possible. That's literally all it is. And it's kind of true, because I do stuff in Photoshop all the time, and literally all that is actual layers. But like, not wrong. Try to kind of smoothing this part of the hoodie, which is not exactly what I wanted to do, but just kind of happening. There you go. Awesome, dude. Nice to see someone drawing something cool. That is the plan. I thought you were going to go with there's nothing wrong with having a tree as a friend. I mean, there's that too. But like, is there anything wrong with having a tree as a friend? I feel like that's like some sort of start of a Dr. Zeus thing. Said Zeus. Zeus. Zeus is a god. Okay. I think most of like drawing stuff is literally just looking at something. Depends on what you're doing with that tree friend. You got a point. Literally, like, most of art and stuff and drawing is literally just like looking at something going, actually, you know what, that's crap, never mind, and then doing something else. Okay, that's better. That should be the top of the coat just because of perspective. Cool. Trees deserve our love too. Yes, but you gotta control yourself though. Bob Ross actually is featured in Smite the game as a skin. Wait, really? I played Smite a really long time ago, like, God, I can't even think of when that was. 2013? Maybe even earlier than that? God, I don't even know. I don't know how long the game's been out. Quite a long time ago, though. I don't remember that, so I'd imagine that was probably something added later. But man, that would have been amazing to see. I'm surprised I was convinced to play Smite. Not that I have anything wrong with that kind of thing, but typically I don't play something like that. I say that with the Von Schiller Steve being like, hey, you should play League. I don't want to play League. I don't have anything wrong with it, I just don't want to play it. Okay, so we gotta draw the body. Who remembers the game Twisted Metal? Hello. I do. I remember it existing. I don't think I ever actually played it. Yeah, I don't think I ever actually played it. But I remember it. Yeah, look up Sylvanus Bob Ross. He is a tree god. Of course he's a tree god. He couldn't be anything else. Well, that's not true. He could be a tree god or he could be something with clouds. Those are the only two things I could think. Maybe a mountain, but that's probably like, you know, not the first thing you think of. You think of trees. Bob Ross, what do you do? Trees. Well, not do them, but at least I don't think. Maybe there's something we don't know. Okay, let's draw the body. Now, I kind of want to draw the body smaller than what we did last time. But I don't know what that would entail. Because, like, the perspective's got to feel kind of right. The body start here. Let's try there. If it feels wrong, we can change it. No, that doesn't feel wrong, actually. This is excluding the arms, by the way. The arms add a bit more width. Here, maybe? Yeah, we can roll with that. I'm trying to look at them in like a basic shape term, so I'm kind of looking at like a rectangle, but kind of a trapezoid sort of thing, kind of going this way and that way. When I'm thinking about like the width of his body, because he's pretty much just a tube of a person. So let's do that. I thought about doing this character originally as just like a robe, but then I'm like, that's not interesting. Everybody does that. That's just the Grim Reaper. Which is a cool character, but I feel like we can be a little bit more original than that. Possibly. Okay. Let's see here. I was looking through my channel points recently because I set those rewards up a long time ago. And I'm like looking through them recently and I'm like, holy crap, some of them are just like probably too much power for you guys, but I don't know. Half of them haven't been used. But I really, like, the day I made those, I clearly did not think well of myself in the slightest. So I'm just like, hey, let's figure out all the sort of torture devices I can put in there. Got a lot of eraser shavings. I've erased a lot so far. This line's perspective is a little wrong, so I'm changing it. There we go. I think, anyway. You know what? Gonna add a bit of a cartoony element, I think. A lot of cartoon characters like to have that sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, jelly curve? You guys know what I mean when I say that? That sort of like, it comes down and then it kind of curves out. Gives them kind of like a weird curve to their body. I don't know, maybe we won't do that, I'm not sure. We'll leave it for now. I want to draw this dude's arm, which is going to be connected to his hood, because it just works out that way. And my drawing for hands is literally just blob. That's literally all it is. I literally just draw a tiny little blob coming out of the arm. Because I couldn't be bothered to actually draw a hand. I like that style too. I like the simple like blob hand style. You'll see what I mean in a second. I'm drawing his sleeves a little bit thicker than normal. Okay, let's draw blob hand. That's literally it. Literally everything. Let's draw his other arm, which should be coming out like this. His other arm's behind his body, so we don't see a lot of that. His perspective. Love the blob hands. Yeah. He doesn't have any thumbs, so he probably can't hold anything. He's just gonna punch everything. But it's fine. That's just what's gonna happen. Alright, and then I gave this dude some shorts. So for the most part, the body's gonna remain the same, but then we're gonna get a little bit more interesting. Then we'll be able to use the permanent marker, and then everything's gonna look way cooler. Because then we can actually, like, get some darkness to this and stuff like that. Sean, make a Gokina emote right now. I'm on paper, Gokina. This would be a wasted effort. Also, I have a custom emote request. Channel point option. That's the way to get emotes on this channel. In reality, Gokina, here's the thing. I've thought about doing a Gokina emote. Pain. Yeah. I've thought about doing a Gokina emote, but here's the problem. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Well, here's the thing, Gokina. What do you want as an emote? This would make a smooth Brawl Stars character. It would, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would. How do we get into Brawl Stars? Can I just get in now? Make me a Brawl Stars character, and now I am a character? I don't know how that works. I don't know if there's a way to do that. Just go up to the devs and be like, hey, I got this character. Make it a reality. Maybe if you were upfront about something like that, they would almost be like, sure. Me, you, and Steve need to brainstorm. Yeah, just a little bit. I've been thinking about it, but I cannot figure out for the life of me what it is. But at some point it'll happen. Because naturally it just has to. This sleeve, I think, can be a bit thicker. Then we'll get to the shorts. Good old shorts. And we need to redraw this hand because it's not big enough. There we go. Ah, yes, much better, much better. Okay. I'm also gonna do one thing here. I'm just gonna change this line a little bit. I think it could be a bit different now. There we go. Adds a bit of depth, doesn't feel as bad. Much better, it is. I actually think this line for the jacket can be the real one. I wasn't really sure, but I think that's better. See, doesn't this feel like at this point, like if I cut this off here and we haven't had anything, does this feel like this is gonna go into a robe? It kind of does, but at the same time, I like the subverting expectations sort of thing. And like changing it so that it is just shorts. But I don't know, what's your guys' thoughts? Before I get to doing that. Also, this line is through this guy's hand. He's transparent! Oh no. We'll also fill these in to make them darker, but I'm not going to do that with pencil. So just have that in mind. Actually, since we're here, let's get rid of this guy's head out of here. That doesn't make sense. There we go. I don't know. I think I still like the shorts. I like that idea. I think I'm gonna go with that still. I have this guy's coat a little bit rounded in the normal picture, but I think I'm gonna square it off a little bit more. I hope that isn't a South Park character. We killed Kenny! You're kinda right, though. I didn't really think about that, but you're right. Poor Kenny. Yeah, Kenny died. Kenny dead. Once again, as per usual. I say that. I don't know if they've actually like killed Kenny in the last like couple seasons of South Park. That might not actually be something that applies anymore, but whatever. I'm just gonna imagine that that's still something they do. Alright, I'm gonna do the same thing that we did before. It took me forever originally to come up with what I was happy with for the whole bottom part of this character. Like the shorts I knew I wanted to do. But then like the legs I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm gonna... There we go. Bit of a curve in there. I don't want the shorts to be like too much smaller than the character himself, just because I want it to feel like it's kind of... I don't know. If we made the shorts too small, I feel like his legs are like little baby chicken legs. And so I don't want to really cause that feeling. But anyway. Rip Kenny, yeah. Kenny dead. I was gonna say something that I couldn't remember. Oh, so most people I see, and I don't know. Oh, Dart MC. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate that a lot. And welcome to our little, I call it a cult, but I realize so many people call things a cult now. It's more of it's an establishment. That's how you really hide in a cult. It's an establishment. With business expenses. And all that kind of stuff. As long as the cult pays taxes, it's all good. Hello. Hi. As well. As shorts begin, kind of have them on a tight angle. Shorts wouldn't begin here, would they? Oh, they almost would, wouldn't they? Dude, that's gonna be a thick freaking leg. I started a bit earlier than that. Somewhere here. Thick shorts. That's what it'd be. Alright. There we go. I'm gonna touch this up a bit. I don't like that. I'm instead going to do that. There you go. That feels better. There we go. Our dude's almost on his way to being completed, partially at least. Drawing his little pockets here. There we go. That's better, yeah. And let's draw a little bit of the start of his shorts there. That's just that line there. And then we can kind of shade this in. I'll just lightly do it so you guys know what I mean. And there we go. Alright, our dude is on the path to being almost completed. So the way that I have his shorts in the original design was like, okay, he's got these like little parts of his short that kind of tighten it up, and that's where his legs come out of. So that was the idea. This leg is so much thicker than the other one. But it's fine, it's all for perspective. Actually, I say that, this is a little more rounded than it should be. Almost. Looks good. Well, thank you. Alright. So the song that's playing right now, I need to fix it someday. I did a stupid thing with the volume automation in it when I made it. That was like... There's like a weird like artifact of doing that sounds weird, and it's like, I don't want to point it out because most people don't notice it, but I do, and it's like... It grinds my gears. Anyway. Alright, we're gonna make his legs go down a bit. And we gotta draw some shoes. I'm real good at drawing shoes. I say that because I'm not good at drawing shoes. But that's fine. You kinda just fudge it until it works. Alright. There's his legs. Alright, so these are pretty small. I don't know how well you're gonna see me doing this because they're gonna be small shoes, but I just kind of draw like a lip here and then down. And usually this works out. Shoes are small, but it's fine. I usually don't want, at least in my experience, I don't like having the shoes be like a huge major portion of the character, because that's not really what you're looking at. The back of the shoe here looks terrible. Alright. I think for the most part, it's gonna pass. Which is really the only thing I care about. As long as it doesn't look like complete garbage. I guess that's the goal. There we go. Alright. Not terrible. He's got a shoe. We need another shoe, and then we'll be off. This is going to be a bigger shoe, so I gotta make sure this one looks better. I didn't start that at the right perspective. A lot of perspective for me is just like guessing and just doing it. What I think looks right. Which I realize in some scenarios, I think we had that last stream where we were doing like the gas canister emote for Steve. And it did not work out as well, because I was just like, it was a very weird perspective, and it wasn't working out. We eventually got it, but it was a lot of brute force. So if you're going to do art, don't do what I do and learn how to instead do perspective like a real person. Okay. I think this shoe will look good too. It's a little of a cartoony shoe, but that's fine. I kind of want it to have that feel. I'm okay with it. There we go. I'm gonna have to fix the perspective a little bit because this one doesn't quite have that downward motion, but that's fine. That's an easy fix. I think, anyway. Yep, it's fine. Zombie Kenny. Yeah, Zombie Kenny. I'm fine with that. This guy doesn't really have a name, because he was based off of my one character that we have. I don't think we have any emotes of him in the chat at the moment. No, we don't. But our little icon person, if you followed, you would have seen him. If you subbed, you would have seen him. Our little red skull man. We call him the Risk Reaper, typically. And so that's kind of the general character design that I was going off of for making this. So, alright. Just add some little springs. And little laces as an extra detail. So there's that. I'm going to leave that for the pencil drawing portion. We're going to move on and get these lines thick. It's going to become real thick. I got to grab those because I put them on... Actually, can I get them? I got them. It's fine. Woo! I don't know how loud that was for you. I'm sorry. We got some Sharpie that I can't open usually because these are terrible. So, this is where things get interesting. We gotta line these now, which is the most anxiety in the world, honestly. It's so stressful from here on out because it's like you gotta really commit to it. Oh, God. I always hate doing it. I'm like, yeah, don't mess up. Yeah, no pressure, right? Oh, no. Oh, it's always the worst. So this is a pretty thin line thing. Color inside the lines. Yes, exactly. That is exactly what I'll do. Hopefully, anyway. Unless I screw up, and in that case, that's exactly what I'm not doing. So yeah, so the way we do this is with this like little fun line, or it says ultra fine point, whatever. It's very thin. Ooh, I almost dropped that on that. And then we're gonna go around with this bad boy. Let me show you. Is a little thick one, like this, and we're gonna go around and do the outline. And that gives it a bit of extra weight. Kind of gives it that cartoony, almost sticker feel, which is what a lot of people have said about my art recently, is it looks like a sticker. Which is fair, I'm fine with that. Hey man, long time no see, what are we drawing? Hey Twinkles, how's it going? We're just drawing a kind of a concept character that I was thinking of doing for the channel. But possibly as an NFT in the future, I don't know. Some people were interested in that as well. I don't really know. Alright, so we're gonna do that. Good, just hanging out while I work from home. Sweet. That's basically what I'm doing. In a way. This isn't really. Kinda is. But man, you know, I kinda like the work at home stuff, but at the same time I feel like after a while, you kinda get that like, especially if you haven't gone outside in like forever, which is partially me, then you just kind of feel this like general ick. I guess that's the lack of the fresh air. I have my windows open though, so I don't know. All right, let's start this. I'm gonna start on the teeth. Look at how much more noticeable that's gonna be. Hey Ray, how's it going? It immediately sticks out, right? Like, the pencil drawing is cool, but now it's like, look at that. I love permanent markers so much. They look so good. I know that, like, true artists are gonna be like, no, this is wrong. You have to use real ink. Real ink. It's the only way. No. I don't know, I like the texture of a permanent marker too. There we go. Now we might go through this later and add some like manual thickness to lines just to give it a bit of a vibe to it. But for right now, we're just doing this. And I'm getting like real close to this being like, I gotta look at this in depth, so that's why I'm off camera, I apologize. I gave up on that line halfway through. But it's fine. Yeah, this is real stressful. Do you feel the tension? I know there's like casual music in the background, but do you feel the slight tension and stress level just elevate like a crap ton? Because we're like, don't screw up, don't do it. The worst is when you have to go this way and you can't see what's already there. I would have already messed it up. Yeah. I'm surprised I haven't. Sometimes you screw up a little bit of it. It happens. I'm going slow, dude. Okay. We got it. We're getting there. Flying blind right now. Alright. We got part of his head worked out. We can kind of recover his head a little bit because we're going to be coloring this in with permanent marker. So if the line is a little like angular like this right here, we can kind of just color it in and fix that. So this one's not so bad to start, but you know, get his eyes in here. Sorry that I'm off camera. Alright. Not perfect, there's a little bit of a notch here, but we can probably fix that. Because we are going to color this in too. Well, that one was good. That one worked out well. And the chill 8-bit retro video game music. Yeah, this is all like 8-bit. Well, not 8-bit, but based off of Animal Crossing music. It's on my my music page on Bandcamp below if you want to hear more of that at any point. It's all just bootleg Animal Crossing music. I made it for my main channel video talking about New Horizons. That's better than any circle I've ever drawn. Well, I mean, that did work out pretty well. I'm gonna be honest. I did want to kind of comment on that one. That one looks good. I surprised myself with that. This one's not as good, but that one's pretty good. Hopping off, Risk. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. Keep up the great work as always. Will do. Will do. Alright. Got this dude. We got his lines. Alright. We're gonna do the hoodie now. The inside of it. Anyway, excuse me. Alright. The more lines you add, is it for an NFT project? Could be. I don't know. I've thought about it. Originally it was like, oh, it's just going to be like a redesign of one of my characters. But then it was like, oh, well, you know what? I don't know. Screwed up this line a little bit, but I'm going to have to commit to that now. That'll happen occasionally, but it's fine. Yeah, if you screw up, it's more of just like a continue with your screw up and try to recover. This line's feeling good, so I'm going to keep going. There we go. Alright. I like the idea of like a generative NFT project, but at the same time it's one of those things where it's like, that's so much more time. And also, it's a lot of work. But it's a cool idea. I realize there's also a lot of skeleton NFT projects right now, so it's one of those things too where it's like, not the most unique idea in the world, but there we go. Alright, we got some lines going around. When we color this in, we're going to use the bigger one because this is not going to cut it. I think this is one of the only like actual big ones I have right now, so hopefully this doesn't run out of ink. Hopefully not, because I had a second one that I'm like, oh, that one will work too, and that one's out of ink already. Or it's like drying up, so. Oh no. I have a red one too that's like a red permanent marker, and that one's drying up and it annoys me. Because I like red permanent markers for color, but oh well. I'm going to do the outside of his hood in a second. I'm going to do this part of his coat. Oh, that line kind of got butchered a little bit. It's fine, it's not too bad. It just didn't go as straight as I was hoping it was gonna go. But that's fine. Alright. Anyway. Alright, so let me do... I'm gonna do his hand here. Alright. This has been going good so far. I don't want to jinx it, though. But we're getting the lines going better and better. The further we get, the happier I'm getting, but I also don't want to celebrate too early. They had to call it permanent markers, right? Like, to really drive up the tension, they had to call it permanent marker. Like, as if it wasn't stressful enough, they had to remind me. Oh man, he, she, it lives. It does, doesn't it? Well, it's getting there. It's not quite there yet. But it's getting closer and closer. It's always nice when you get to this phase and once it's done, or at least the initial lining of it's done, it's always like, that's a bit of tension that's relieved. A little bit, anyway. Still have to do this bad boy, which is going to be stressful as well. Actually, that one's more stressful because depending on the orientation of the marker is the thickness of the line, so it's a bit of a pain to do that one. So that's actually the real stress, if I'm being honest. Alright. Oop, oop, oop. I screwed up the thickness a bit. It's fine. Whatever, we recovered a little bit. We just angled the sleeve a little bit more. Which is still fine. It looks good. Okay. We're going. This is the part I'm worried about because this is such a weird line. But we'll try it. Quiet, everybody. I need my focus. I'm kidding. I mean, I do, but... Okay. I'm gonna do this line in segments because I have to. There we go. There's that part. That's one of the more awkward parts. Now it's just this, which is still weird, but it's not as bad. I say as I can't see where I'm drawing right now. Okay, honestly, could have been worse. I'll take it. I'll take it. Woo! Man, that is tense. It's always tense on the marker. It was actually funny. I was thinking of like other things to draw that was just like different things just for the sake of drawing it. And I thought of this like idea of this blob coming out of like some liquid and being like kind of like a cute little blob monster thing. And then literally I'm like watching TV the other night and I see a commercial for Bounty paper towels. And that's literally what they use in the commercial. But I'd never seen it before. And I'm like, come on, man. I literally just had that idea, and I thought it was so cool. And then literally, that's what happens. And yes, by the way, I have links blocked in here just because sometimes we'll get some occasional random spam and stuff. So if you're trying to post a link, that will likely happen. Just saying. I get a lot of spam in the chat on a typical day. Today's a little bit of a different day. Mostly for all you guys showing up, so I appreciate that. I'm going to color this in advance because it's this tiny little area. Alright, alright. these shorts lined. I almost went a little too deep on that. I gotta recover this. Not perfect, but it's fine. I love spam. I've been asked if I wanted to be famous so many times in my chat. I know, right? Dude, you want to be famous? I do, but then they send a link and I don't have time to like click it. I'm streaming. I'm busy. But man, maybe I should click on that at some point. Because yeah, I do. And clearly they know what they're talking about. Alright, there's that. That line's a little shaky, but that's fine. Alright, I have other things to left click on. Yeah, I know. I don't know, I don't think that marketing's working very well, unfortunately. There we go. I'm always worse getting lower on the page for doing lines and stuff just because the angle gets weirder on your wrist because you're kind of like pointing down like this. Cool, it's coming along. Yeah, we're almost there. We're almost there. Can you draw animals? I don't know. I just kind of draw and like do trial and error as I go. I've drawn a bird before. Actually, you want me to try something? Hold on. Image. Let's add an image. I think I might be able to find it. It's none of those things. I have like a folder on my computer. I realize I'm a little louder over here. Hello, how are you doing? I want to see if I can find something real quick. Don't mind me. I don't know if I have it in here. I don't think I have any of that artwork in there. I do not. I want to try one other thing. My computer is going to freak out because I'm trying it, but I can show you like an example image, but I don't have the images on my computer. I probably have them in Google Photos though. I'm just going to see if I can find them. Hey, there you go. Let me, well here, I can just do this. Maybe. Sorry for the delay. I was trying to get everything in here. There it is. Oh god, it's humongous. There it is. There's a bird I drew in high school. So there's animals. That was when I had to do like realism and stuff. That was one of the things I drew anyway. That was probably one of the better things I drew that was like based off of realism. I'm not a huge fan of doing realistic stuff, but I have one thing that I don't have like a good picture of anymore, and it annoys me. In high school, I was given like this thing to do that was like, oh, I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Conte. It's basically like black and white pastel, like little like block crayon things. And you basically just mix the black into the white to create shading, and that's like the whole thing. And that's it. But it's like really, really dark. It's like the same as this permanent marker almost. It's like a really dark and really bright medium. It looks really cool. A lot of people usually draw it on like kind of tea colored paper because it gives it kind of like a sepia vibe to it. Or I say sepia. Is that it? Is it sepia or sepia? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. So they kind of do that. And I did this art. I'm gonna get rid of this image now. So I did this art that was like we had to take a photo of random objects aligned and then take a photo of it and then do like basically recreate that in Conte. And I'd never done the style before. I actually love that style for realism. It's probably the only thing I've ever liked doing, like realism, like an art style of. And I don't have it. I don't have that art because the art teacher that I didn't like was like, hey, can I use that? I'll actually display it. I really like it. It was one of the rare times he said he liked anything I did. And I'm like, cool. And then he never displayed it and he just took it. The hell, man? I like that art too, and I only took one photo of it that was like a work in progress. I don't know where that is. I'm not going to try to find that one, but yeah, so I mean like kills. It hurts my innards whenever I think about it. I'm like, I love that art. It's like it would be a good portfolio thing now too because it looked really good, but that didn't draw a line. What the hell? Never mind. Apparently one side of this marker does not draw a line. Good to know. I'm getting really into the details. What a douche for taking it. Yeah, I know, really. He was, though. So it's fine. Most of the people in the art class, too, there might not be anything to it, but just a weird coincidental thing. Pretty much every person in that art class, outside of, like, me, was, like, a female, and they got a lot of, like, attention from him. You know, just like, that's really good. Keep up the work. And he never came by me to look at my stuff until I handed it in, and then he didn't like it. Just a thing. I'll leave it at that, but weird. I learned today, apparently, from my friend Jesse, that apparently one of our college professors was also kind of creepy in that way. And I had no idea, because I thought he was a really cool dude. But apparently he was kind of creepy. And that's unfortunate. Because I learned a lot of After Effects stuff from the guy, too.
Most important part of our routine.
I kind of screwed that shoe up a little bit, but oh well. We have to live with it now. Maybe this will help. Yeah, we screwed that shoe up. Oops. Classic, I'm not making accusations, but I'm just saying. Yeah, I know. That shoe's garbage. Oh well. You can't be perfect. We screwed that one up, but that's fine. Most of it's fine. He's got a bit of a step forward, but that's fine. Anyway. It's not terrible. I can live with it. Anytime you draw something at like big scale too, it screws it up. It looks a little bit worse on your guys' thing because the angle's a little skewed, but it still looks kind of weird. Anyway, most of that... Oop, wait, I didn't draw the laces. Most of this guy's here, so I think we're gonna do the thick outline, which might be able to save this shoe. We'll see if we can do that. A star is born. There he is. He's there. And feeling good, I think. Well, maybe not. He looks a little dead. So anyway. But yeah, so I'm gonna color in the eyes here and the hoodie. And then from there, I'm gonna do the thick outline around. And then from there, we're pretty much, I mean, we could call it done unless we want to do color. I don't know if we want to do that. What's the time? We're at 2 hours. Not too bad, not too bad. Anyway. I don't know how much time I'm going to have after we do that, because this might take a little bit of time. But we'll see. I want to make sure, too, actually. Okay. I want to make sure that the marker worked. Okay. Let's color in my dude. I'm I'm gonna go with that kind of scratchy look. I'm not gonna try to complete this color completely. I'm just gonna try to like get the color in there as like filled as possible. And leave it at that because I like the kind of like not fully complete black look. To an extent, Kind of that marble look, I guess, I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. Like that, right? It's not fully completed. Gives it a bit of a, I don't know, artsy vibe. That rough vibe we were talking about earlier in the stream. I like that a little bit. You guys can't quite all see the detail there. I was flipping you off there, I'm sorry. But there's just like white speckles. Gives it an attitude, I don't know. Anyway. I'm actually going to add something to these eyes after I fill these in that I forgot to do that I think will make this look just a little bit nicer. Give it a little bit more of a perspective that'll look a bit nicer. So we'll see if we can do that. But first, we color. Try to like follow the rotation of the eye, or at least like the shape of the eye, and kind of like shrink it as we get in, just because it gives it a bit more of a organic feel to it if you do it that way. So that's what I try to do personally. That's good. I think that's good. We got the eyes in. So what I'm going to add really quick is not with this marker. I'm going to use this marker here again. And just add. I don't know if we're getting any ink from the marker. There we go. That literally just adds like a tiny bit of depth. And add a bit more to this one. Extra detail. Literally it. Anyway, back to the thick boy. So now we're going to do the hoodie, which there's a lot to the hoodie, so it's going to take a little bit. But that's fine. Let's get started, I guess. I mean, it's not like I'm like, hey, let's not color in the hoodie because that would look better. I don't think it's going to look better if we don't do this. Oh. A little bit harder to go for that kind of scratchy rough look just because this marker's bigger and it fills in more naturally. But I'm trying to keep it that way. I think it just adds a bit of character. All right. There we go. We're getting there, All right. So there's part of our dude, and we'll get the rest of his little hoodie filled in, and then we'll do the thicker outline, which I think really makes it pop, at least in my opinion. So I think that will definitely be a bigger selling point. How many of you would, random question, well, not really random, but not a question that I normally would ask, but I think Steve might be slightly getting me more and more into thinking about maybe doing an NFT project, or at least thinking about it. So like, how many of you guys would maybe buy something like this as an NFT? For those of you who buy NFTs. Alright. And we're almost done this. And again, I'm kind of playing to the shape of the hoodie a little bit here. I like them. We definitely buy it. Well, there you go. I've thought about it. I don't know if if I was to do it, if I would do just like these kind of skeleton character things, or if I just do stuff that's like in the same style that's just completely random and different things. I'm not really sure. Haven't thought about it that far. But I've just been thinking about it recently. I don't know how much it costs to mint, so that's mainly my concern. I was trying to like list one of my the NFTs that I have, one of the cool cat NFTs, for quite a while, and the gas every time that I went to do it shot up so much. Like I got $20 of Ethereum, which was not much, but that was the gas, and then it shot up to 30, and then I got $40 of Ethereum, and then it shot up to $80 in gas just to verify my OpenSea account. I felt like I was being pranked a little bit. Just a little bit. It was almost comical. Doesn't know what an NFT. It's just like it's just kind of a digital way of like, I'm not the best to explain this in any way, but it's just kind of like if you have like a painting or something, like a real say painting or something like the Mona Lisa, you know, people determine its value based on the name of it and the history behind it, right? That's its value, that's its value. So I think it's like 800. Gas is really cheap right now. Hey, that's good. So like people determine that as being like $800 million or something like that right now, which is crazy. But like it's not, that painting's not really anything different than somebody just doing a painting right now in oil paints or whatever, right? Other than the fact that it's older. But like, you know, an NFT is basically just a digital way of doing that and like verifying that that piece of art is, you know, the version of art that it is, you know, like it, like you own that piece of art in an actual sense. There's like a file, like a contract that says that you own that. And again, I could be explaining this completely wrong. This is all stuff I've learned from Steve, or at least through watching videos, so I could be a bit wrong. But that's like the general sense, and there's more to it than that. I was literally explaining it to like one of my friends last night because just random other stuff. So like, you know, I've been doing a lot of that recently, just coincidentally. But hey, we got our man painted in with the black. We're gonna start outlining this now. So I take like kind of you see how this marker is kind of like angled? It's got this like chisel tip. So I take the point on this side, on the top there, and I take that and try to line it with that thickness. At this scale, it might not be enough, but we'll see. If not, we can just make it thicker. This is like one of the other songs that I made for the little bootleg Animal Crossing soundtrack that I did. This one I actually like. Every song was like made really fast, so some of them I'm like, they're fine. And then some of them I'm like, that one's actually good for how quick I did it. This is one of the ones I like. Didn't quite track that perfectly there, but that's fine. But yeah, I like the thick outline. Like, it looks weird when you first have it, but when you do all of it, it looks good. At least in my opinion. Gives it a bit of a pop to it. Whoops. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it as close as possible to getting it accurate. Screwing this line up always sucks, but it happens. Nobody's perfect. I'm gonna see if I can fix this shoe a little bit. I don't know if we can. But I'm gonna try. I don't know how we'll go about doing that, but I think we can maybe cut some of the perspective or something. It looks better. It's still not perfect, but that's better than it was, I think. Alright, there we go. Alright. We're getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there. Our thick bud is coming together. Do we have any suggestions on a name for this dude? Because I wasn't kidding when I said I do not have any idea for a name. Like I said, it was based off our Risk Reaper character that I have here, but you know, I don't really know. Dead Kenny, maybe. All right. All right, all right. This is coming together well, actually. I'm liking this. We haven't screwed up the line too bad as of yet, so it's fine. Again, this part, like the original line, is going to make me super nervous. Oops. That's not good. That's fine, we saved it, we saved it. I think, a little bit, not really. Hold on. There we go, that looks better. Alright, this guy. Getting this thick outline. Once we're past this part of the hoodie, I'm going to be a little bit more happy. There we go. Alright. I'm literally flying blind there. Cannot see what I'm doing. Trying to recover this a little bit. I mean, this part's not as needed because it's already got the hoodie there, but we'll do it for the sake of doing it. For the sake of continuity. Again, I can't see how accurate I'm being right now. Well, I can see that I'm not being accurate there, but that's nothing that I'm not surprised by. Okay, and there you go, our guy. We got an outline. He's thick again. Hell yeah. Okay. There he is. There he is. And I mean, for the most part, that's pretty much that. We didn't line the pockets. Did you notice that? We could color him, I think, maybe. I forgot to do his pockets. There we go. What time are we at? You want to try coloring the guy? I don't have the stuff. I have to go and grab it, but we could try coloring him. I think I'm going to base it off the original colors that I did. Again, for anybody who has not shown up to the stream, or has just showed up to the stream, I can word correctly. Here is our original drawings, our smaller concepts of our dudes. Come on, camera. Come on. There you go. There you go. You can even see the other one underneath. That's funny. But yeah, so these were our original concepts of the guys. And then this is our bigger version of the idea that we're drawing now. I realize the perspective's a little screwy on this, but whatever. We were trying things. We were trying things. But anyway, so I think we might color him in based on those original colors. It's the red hoodie, still the white, but there's a bit of gray on him just to bring out some detail. The kind of gray shorts and the black shoes. I think that's a vibe. I think we could do that. Why not? Let's do the whole thing. Do the whole thing. I still have time myself, so screw it. Let's do it. I just gotta grab stuff. Give me a second. Alright. I got it. Pencil crayons are cool. Honestly, not that many colors in that whole design, which was the point. But anyway, these are so loud. Trying to sort them in, like, height order. Oh, I did it. They're in a height order. If I can get them on the table correctly. There we go. Hey. Okay, so the idea now is to get some color in here. Now, I'm going to use the pencil here really quick to just specify very lightly. You guys might not see it well just because now we have all this contrast here. But I'm just going to specify where the light should be. So the light I'm going to have come from this way and down like this. So, like, parts of his thing's going to be lit. Like little edge lighting's going to be on his coat here, on the side of his coat there, on his arm, all that kind of stuff. So we want to get that. Alright, man, gotta head out for a bit. Lunchtime. Lunchtime, nice. What are you having for lunch? Before you leave, what's your lunch? You know? Because I'm hungry as well, and I want to... literally, I ate at noon, but I ate cereal. I'm already hungry. I swear. As good as cereal is sometimes, I had some Reese's Puffs. They were good. They do not fill you very well. I'm not usually a lunch will be leftover Stouffer's lasagna. Hey, I mean, it's not always terrible. It's fine. Cereal's great. Yeah, I'm not a cereal person. But recently I was like, dude, Reese's Puffs though. They're good. We should have some Reese's Puffs. Then I got Reese's Puffs, and I've enjoyed it. But it still is not like the most filling thing in the world. I'm gonna plan out this lighting, and the reason I'm doing this is because we need to plan out where the light's gonna be beforehand because we can't put our color there. There's our bit of the lighting. I'm gonna make the lighting pretty thick too, just because I wanna have that extra detail. I say as I make the light area like thinner on this side. If you guys couldn't already tell that this was Animal Crossing music from some of this, or at least attempted Animal Crossing music, now we have KK Slider singing. So I mean, yeah. Okay, there's our lighting there. We have to put some on the hand, but not a lot, luckily. Yeah, just specifying these areas in advance so we know where to color. And yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to thicken up a few of these pencil lines just to, again, get it to be a bit more obvious that there's lighting in some places. I realize this is not the most interesting, but I just want to show the color process as well of what I do, at least for pencil crayons, because it's a little different than our digital lighting and stuff. The shoe is a little bit different because this whole front of the shoe should be lit that way. So this whole part's white. Alright, do that. Alright. We get this all specified here, we'll be good to go. I think one thing that is really apparent in, like, you know, paper drawing and traditional art, whatever you want to call it, is that there's a lot more planning involved, because you got to like plan for what you're going to do next, and you got to do like different steps to try to plan that out, versus the iPad that you could draw on, where it's kind of more like you can plan it out, sure. There's no problem in doing that, but like, it's one of those things where you do have to plan it out a bit more, because if you screw up, there's no going back. As you can see, like, I think some of the perspective here is a little screwed up, but, you know, things happen. As I say, that is, again, one of my weaknesses that way. Now this one's weird because this one we're gonna want to like have gradual lighting, so I'm just gonna remember that. We don't have to manually put that there. We don't actually have to add any to the skull, now that I'm thinking about it. Not really. I'll probably just erase these lines off of the hands. I was only doing that because one of my other alternate colors was red, like bones and stuff. But we don't actually need that for the white. Only for shading. Okay, cool. So you know what? That's actually pretty good. That's good. So I guess we'll start with the hoodie. So I have these different colors too, by the way. I'm going to explain this too, just so you guys know. So this color is just for shading this and this to be pretty dark, and also a little bit of the shading on the skull, just to add a little bit of shadow. And then the white is just if we need to add any like light value stuff. Usually I don't use the white, but that's just kind of a backup if we need to add a little bit of extra. But usually it doesn't sit very well on colors anyways, so this is just here if we need it, but I'll try not to use this. And then this red is obviously like the main red that we're using for his hoodie. And then the black is just for the shading for the gray elements, and then this maroon kind of brownish color is for shading in the red, because shading in with other colors that are kind of similar rather than just shading in with black looks a lot better and it pops out a lot more. Yeah, anyway, that's the idea. So let's start on our hoodie and get that done. So I like to start on a rough, light layer and then work the color up as we go. That's the idea. Because then, the more layers you do of color rather than just doing one straight up hard layer of color, helps in terms of just like making a kind of nice base, and it makes the color feel more filled in if you keep doing layers and stuff. Because then at least there's like some light layers that are hitting the edges and stuff. If you do just like one hard layer of color, if you didn't put color in one spot, it's going to be a lot more apparent. So yeah, this is very light red. It's very hard to see, but we're just going to do a few light layers of the color first, and then add to the color. You can see how that's going to work out a lot better for us as we go. Added a bit of white there, and I was ignoring that a little bit, but that's okay. Just add some color. Yeah, I tried a few alternate colors with the other version that I took a picture of that was just like a digital version. Like having the hoodie be gray, and then having like the actual like head and the arms and legs and stuff be like red colored instead, which is kind of like the general design for our Reaper character right now. Didn't like it as much, I don't know. But I don't know if that was the colors I didn't like or if it was the style I didn't like, but I don't know. Hard to say. I was about to say, technically, wouldn't all of our bones be red right now because it's contained in blood and stuff? Technically. Wouldn't it be? At least partially. And then I was thinking of, like, there's like one post or something like that somebody made that's like, technically all our skeletons are wet right now. You're not wrong. Alright, let's get this color up here. It looks very pinkish right now, just because it is a very light red. You're going to see what we're going to do with this red here. And that's actually one of the other reasons I want to do this like light color layer of red, is getting this like gradient thing that I want to get at the top here. Just because it's curved, it kind of accentuates the hood a little bit more. And also it's a little bit more natural when we have this kind of like bright kind of fall off of the color into the light. And so starting out with the light color makes it easier to do that kind of blending. Because again, when you're doing like drawing like this, it's kind of it's an additive process. It's not subtractive in any way, which you can do with digital art. You can really set it up any way you want digitally. That's kind of the whole point of it. But I don't know. There's a nice like intuitive process of just doing it naturally through actually trying to draw something. But I don't know. That's kind of why I wanted to do this today, because I was like, you know, I like the feeling of it a little bit. Just feels more organic, you know? Anyway, there's our first splash of color. I might add a little bit on the edges here. Didn't quite get. There's our first splash. There you go, we're done. No. We're gonna add another thing of color here, and kind of fill this in a little bit more. And so literally all we do is we just press harder and add more color. Just like this. But it looks a lot more filled in now because we had that initial base to go off of. If you're wondering maybe why we're using pencil crayons to color in rather than doing something with, like, I don't know, markers or something like that. Well, one, it's because I don't have markers right now. But two, at least colored things. But two is that, I don't know, the pencil crayon vibe just gives it a bit more of a, in my sense, it gives it more of a soft, it kind of softens. It's a nice contrast against the harsh lines. So that's personally why I like it. But I could understand why other people would want to go with a harsher thing. I think that's why I didn't like my digital color attempts on one of the other versions of this guy. Okay. One of the other things with the color too is you can add a little bit of a gradient shading to everything before you actually add your harsh shadows. I'm adding some pretty harsh, like, little bits of lighting here, like these hard rim lights, if you want to call them that, or edge lights, or whatever you want to call them. So like that's kind of contrasting with this kind of soft pencil crayon vibe as well. I guess it's just a style that I've settled upon that I've been happy with. Yeah, so we're probably going to do about 3 to 4 color passes on this red. It is the main color in the whole thing, so for the most part, once we're done this, everything else will be a lot quicker. It kind of makes sense. But yeah, anyway. I realize I'm probably shaking the table a little bit, apologies. You want to make sure you get this gradient as right as possible. There we go, there we go. That's most of another bit of color there. I'm gonna add a bit more of that color on this as well. And then once we're done that, we're gonna do another layer of this. Because yes, I could leave this red at this value. It doesn't look bad, but I want it to be a little bit harsher than that. At least part of it. Because at this point we could probably add just a bit of a layer to part of the red that we have here, just to give it a bit of a gradient contrast. Kind of a fall off so that there's a bit lighter red here and a bit darker down this side. Play into the lighting. We'll see. I don't know if we're that far in to do that now. I don't know if I want to do 3 layers before I start doing that or not. But yeah, and you can start to see some of these bits of light coming off of the coat now that we're doing this. Anyway, we have lighting in here. Let's try darker red now. This is a lot harsher. I'm pressing pretty hard to get this color. Yeah, I definitely want to do that slight bit of fall off here on this layer. Sorry if this is a bit louder, but I gotta press real hard to get this. Yeah. But you can see that the color kind of adds up over time. Some people will take these pencil crayons and use a smudge stick, which is just like a piece of cardboard, but like it has like a pencil tip to a tip, and they'll use that to kind of smudge in the color over time. I don't really have that to do that. I could just do it with my finger too. That's also an option. Actually, give me 1 second. Whoop! Oh, the camera. Give me 1 second. Somebody's outside using a lawnmower. I don't know how bad you guys could hear that, but just rather cut down most of that sound. I had a window open today. It's pretty hot today, weather-wise. Pretty warm. Anyway. Bit of that red and getting that in there. Looking good. It's popping out a lot more. I like the red, and you can see there's a bit of contrast, a bit darker here than it is here. Which is whatever, you know. I'm not against that. I'm not against that at all. I'm gonna actually just expand that just to make it feel like there's a bit of a dent in the coat or something. There we go. I accidentally did kind of a harsh line there, but whatever. Things happen. Things happen. We can fix that a little bit. It's a bit better. There we go. Anyway, so continue on from here. Yeah, and then once we get this color, we're gonna add some shading as well. That's why I don't want to go fully dark on this either, because we're gonna add some shading with that maroon color, so we want to leave a little bit of lightness so that that can stack on top of this. Because the more color you add, the harder it's going to be to add more color on top of it after that. That's just naturally the way it goes. But yeah, so that's the general vibe. Again, we're gonna start kind of falling into this as we go. Keep that hoodie gradient going. Ooh. A bit of a harsh line there. Want to have that. we go. Here we are. Give it that color. Shows up a bit differently on the stream screen, so I'm using that as like a reference to see like where color looks a little weird. Color looks a little weird here. See if I can fix that color there. There you go, that looks a little bit better. Alright, so there's part of our red on our guy. I might just fix a little bit of the red on the main part of his coat here. This is a little inconsistent. But once I do that, we'll go from there. I'm using like a TV dinner tray for this thing to be held on, so it shakes a little bit, apologies. Especially when I'm trying to make the lighting, or put in the color this hard as I am right now. But anyway. Alright, let's add a bit of color here just to, for consistency's sake. There we go. That looks good. That looks good. I like that. Gets a little bit lighter as it goes up here, but I like that. That's what we wanted. So that looks good. I like that. So we gotta add more of that lighting on this side. But now that we have that, we pretty much have our lighting in for our dude, which looks good. Looks good. At least for his hoodie. And then when we go beyond that, we can start adding little bits of shading for the most part. I mean, I guess we still have to do the shorts, but that's fine. That one won't take as long since it's smaller. Alright, cool. There's that. And yeah, that matches the color well enough. I'm trying to make sure that everything kind of doesn't feel like it's too light in one spot or too dark in a spot. It's easier said than done, actually. Yeah, that's not too bad. I like that, I like that. There you go. There's his hoodie. It's all colored in now. Alright, so let's go to this gray here that we have. Just realign these. There we go. Okay, so with this, I'm going to make this a pretty dark gray, and then this is mostly going to be a really, really dark gray, like even darker than this. And then there's even going to be a little bit of black in here. Actually, when we shade these shoes, the plan is that with this gray and this black, it's almost going to be hard to tell this line apart from the color, because I like having the shoes really dark. So that's the idea. But these are going to be kind of like a gray, not quite as dark as the pencil crayon itself, but probably a little bit lighter than that. But yeah, again, we're going to do our layers as we have been doing. That is the general vibe. By the way, I'm liking this kind of sort of setup that we got here, though, doing this kind of stream. It's really janky. If you saw my my Twitter post about going live today, I shared a picture of the setup and how janky it is. So it might be a little weird to set up the way I'm doing now for multiple streams in the future, but if you guys enjoy this kind of thing, and I'll be happy to do more of it, for sure. Not sure what we'll be doing on Saturday's stream either, by the way. Been playing a lot of Sam & Max recently. And not that I don't like Sam & Max, I've been having a really good time with it. But I think we can just take a little bit of a break from it. We've had a a few streams on Sam and Max, so there might be something else we're doing tomorrow. Not really sure what it'll be, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Get this a bit darker now. This bottom part is part of the shorts too. I'm gonna color those in after we get the shorts to the color we like, just so that we can match it rather than trying to match it all at once. Yeah, looking good? Well, thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. Wasn't sure if we were going to color today, but I'm happy we made the choice. I want to get more comfortable with pencil crayon shading and stuff. I enjoy it. I do. I'm going to hold the table here. Right. Like, I've done it plenty of times in the past and everything like that. That's why I'm doing it now. Like, it's not like I'm not used to it, but I want to get more consistent at it. There's some people that will do like pencil crayon like coloring, and it'll look like it was done on a computer. It's insane. Some people are so good at it. All right, so we're almost here. We're almost here. I think we're almost getting to the darkness level I want to do. Maybe not quite there yet. But we're almost there. I can't tell if it just started raining like crazy or if my AC came on. The room I'm in is like fairly large, so whenever like any crazy weather happens, it just sounds like it's all around you. But like in a kind of echoey way, just because of the way the reverberation inside happens. So sometimes it's hard to tell when something's a fan and rain. That just sounds like me explaining how a room works, but that's really the best I can do. It's a weird way to... It's hard to explain. Get the black here. Because I might need to use that. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I'll return to that. I want to get this part here. And then we'll shade this to be a bit darker. That's where I want the shorts to sit. I want the shorts to be about as dark as we're getting these right now. I don't know if I can get it that dark though. That's a bit of a challenge. Or maybe we keep them this light, I don't know. Do we keep them this light? I don't think so. I want to get them darker. I'm not quite happy with how light they are. They still look a little weird to me. I'm going to try to force them to be a bit darker than they are already. See how much I can force this. I'm asking a lot out of this gray. You can tell I've used this one a lot. Because it's pretty short. Gray is a really useful color for a lot of different things. Not just like making something that's gray, but adding a little bit of like atmosphere to a color or something. Like if you have something in the background or something and you need to add a atmospheric haze for whatever reason, gray is like the go-to. Usually. Depends. If you're like working with like a warm image or something like that that has like a sunset or something, but it's like a foggy sunset or something, then you would want to use like more of a yellow or like a brown or an orange or something. But generally, a standard gray is going to get you where you need to go. Alright, that's a bit darker, I think. I don't know how even that color is. Looks fairly even to me. What does it look like on stream? Not bad, not bad, not bad. Yeah, I'll settle for that level of gray. That works for me. Otherwise, we're really going to be straining this down. Alright. So with that said, let's get our shoes colored in here. I'm just going to basically do the same as the shorts that we already did, but I'm going to try to color these in a lot because these should be almost black in a way. I'm going to use the black to do that as well. I think that's as dark as we're going to get it with the gray, really. The shoes are pretty small, so it won't take too long to do, luckily. Alright. Get this in here, get this color going. Get one more layer on this one. This one takes a little bit longer just because it's bigger. Alright, we're almost got it down to where I want it. There we go, and then we'll shade this in with black a little bit later to get that vibe that we want. Yep, we're getting there, we're getting there. Actually, I think, well, that's pretty much everything we can shade now. Let's just start doing the shorts for the start, anyway. Here we go, let's add some shading there. That's what I want to do with the shoes, like that, right? And you can see how you can barely tell it from the actual like line that's there. See, I knew what I was talking about. You gotta believe me. I knew what we were gonna end up doing. There we go. There are our shoes. They're dark shoes, but they look cool. There's our shoes, and then we're gonna start shading our pants here, and they should be kind of shadowed underneath a little bit like this. But then on top of that, they're gonna start having a little bit of shadow on the side here. And I'm going to go with harsher shadows for the rest of this. I'm just kind of adding a color gradient to the shoes just to give it a bit more of an idea that it's not so much a shadow, like it is a shadow, but it's more like because it's a color and there's just a harsh light coming from this way. Which in turn just turns into a shadow eventually because we get almost a deep black. Go. Shadows on our stuff. Looking good, looking good, looking good. Alright. Let's plan out with a line a bit more what this shadow is going to look like. I think it's going to kind of curve down like this. Maybe even a bit more extreme than that. Then it's going to turn into this because we're going to have a shadow that would be underneath the jacket here. That would give a bit of depth to it. We got to make sure we illustrate that properly. Let's add a line for that. Add a bit of shadow to that, and that would basically be the end of it for this entire thing. Now we can start shading it. And getting it to the level we want it to be as well. So yeah, usually you're not straight up shading with just grays and blacks and stuff, but because we're using gray as a color, we are shading in black. Try not to get in your guys' way, but I got weird angles I gotta work with to make sure I'm not getting the shadow in a weird spot or something like that. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. There we go. Got a bit of a shadow on that side. Might even soften it up a little bit. Just to do that, just because, why not, right? I might turn for a little bit of softening. Just because, why not? There, just soften it a little bit. There you go. Looks a little bit nicer. Cool, cool, cool. Let's get a little bit of shadow here. Why not? On the other leg. Since we're here and ready and all that. And there we go, there we go. Bit of shadow there. Let's soften that a little bit so it's not so harsh. There we go. We have our little shadows on the legs. And because we're down here, I want to add some shadow to our actual legs. It's just going to be a light gray because it's like a bone color, so we're not adding too much. There's that. Literally, that's pretty much all we're going to do. There's also a little bit that would be underneath this because of the bit of the shorts, so we're just going to add that detail too while we're here. And there'd be a little bit because of the shoe. We're not going to add too much there. And that's pretty much it. We want to be pretty subtle with that. We don't want to overdo it since it's supposed to be a white thing, so we don't want to add too much of something that's not really there. But there's that, right? Just a little bit of extra detail. It looks like there's a little bit of, you know, a gradient, a little bit of a shadow to it without really having too much there. And actually, since the hands are here, let's do the hands as well. Which would be kind of this underside lighting like this, and then kind of a little bit of lighting like that. Literally, that's it. Let's add that here too. Try not to get in your guys' way. Realize I have a monstrous hand that's humongous. There we go. We added a little bit to the hands as well. There you go. There you go, there you go. Alright, so let's add a bit of shading with the maroon. So literally all we're going to do for this is the same thing we did here, but we're adding this maroon color that's going to kind of add to the red here. So let's do that. And we got to press this one in a little bit more to get the color to pop out, but you can start to see how it looks like a shadow color of the red rather than like we're just adding black to it. Since it's a bit harder to get this one in, it's a lot easier to make this so it doesn't look like it's a super harsh color, just because we can kind of press it in and it kind of like blurs itself because we're doing that, in a sense. Now I'm just gonna kind of curve this like this from this color instead of trying to play to the shapes, because naturally there would be a shadow caused by pretty much everything here, including the arm. So we can kind of just curve the light around like this to create a shadow or something like that, and then play from there. And we'll just get the rest of the maroon in there. And this literally is called maroon. Or no, actually it's not called maroon, it's called mahogany. Ooh, Crayola. You are interesting. Interesting name choices. But there you go. And you can see how we have a bit of a shadow there. I'm going to press in a little bit more here just so we get a little bit more of that dark mahogany color as deemed by Crayola. So you can see how we have that kind of shadowy color in the coat now. And it looks cool. It adds a lot of depth. It really does. Without really doing too much, honestly. You're just kind of pressing in this mahogany color. This brownish red that I keep calling maroon, but I guess it technically isn't maroon, is it? I'm going to kind of copy our other side there with this color. I get that shading in, and then we'll be good. And there we go. I don't want to be too harsh with it. I might add a little bit of thickness to it just to make it a little bit more obvious that there's a shadow here, but I don't want to be too thick with it. There we go. A little bit of shadow to his coat and stuff. Looks good, looks good. I'm definitely not going to be too thick with this one just because there's not a lot of room to do that. There we go. I'm literally going to leave it there. A little bit on his arm. And we're almost done this, honestly. After we do this, we're just going to add a bit of shading to his skull kind of face. And then from there, we're going to be done. And it's going to be real cool. Alright, and there we go. We got some on his arm now. Got a bit of shading. It looks a lot better and a lot easier to see when I look at the actual stream versus here right now. But it looks good, it looks good, it looks good. Alright, so with that said, let us continue a little bit of the shadow. This one's kind of going to go up a little bit and kind of turn into a pretty big shadow here that kind of comes down like this. Because the hoodie's big and a lot of it's going to be in the background. Or at least, you know, in shadow. Go, and a little bit of that. And again, this is going to have to play to that lighting gradient that's up here. So the shadow will get darker and eventually just disappear as we go up here. They'll probably end up disappearing like here or something like that. Just like that. There it is. There's a little bit of that lighting there. And just to help it, I'm going to soften it up a little bit. A little harsh in some places. Let's just fix that a little bit. Add a little bit of extra color just to make it have a bit of a fall off there so it's not as harsh. There we go. There we go. Look at that. Look at this dude. He's so colored in now. It's great. It looks so good. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. We just need to shade in our head of our dude. There you go. And this one's pretty easy. It's literally just going down like this. Kind of falling off as we go. And I mean, that's literally basically it. We're shading our head of our guy just to give a bit of depth to it. And a bit down here too, just to give a bit of shadow to the shape of his head. Let's do that. Again, we don't want to be too extreme on this, just because we don't want to overdo it on our skull guy and make this shadow really stick out too much. But we want to add a little bit of that depth just to accentuate that there is some lighting, but we want to really make sure that people know that this is like a pretty clean white kind of skull head. We don't want to be too extreme about it. There you go. That's pretty much that. We're going to add a little bit to the teeth here. Pretty simple, not super complicated to do this. Add it to our teeth here, and then once we do that, I think we should be good. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much that. We could probably add a little bit under here, just for some depth and stuff, you know. A little bit of shading. Create a look. But really, at the end of the day, I mean, that's pretty much that. We added some color and all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna leave this dude here. Is it the best thing I've ever drawn? No. Is it the worst? Definitely not. Definitely not. And then we there you go. There is our art. Cool stuff, cool stuff. That's our dude. Wow. That was a good time, I think. Yeah, so anyways, that's basically everything from me. I have to head out pretty soon. So this worked out. Whoa, I'm zoomed in a lot. Hello. Yeah, I do have to head out pretty soon. And all that. But thanks for all you guys that came out to today's stream. I really had a good time with all you. And yeah, I enjoyed doing this kind of layout. I hope that you guys enjoyed this as well. Because I definitely like to do more of it. It was just it feels different. It kind of changes things up from doing like the iPad streams that we normally do, which is still really entertaining. But this just kind of feels a little bit more nice to do, a little bit different. This is definitely not something I ever thought I'd be doing on stream. If you told me a little while ago, holy crap, you made it. Well, I'm literally just ending now. But hello, Jesse. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here, did you see the art, or do you need me to go back? Because I can do that real quick. Or do you want to just watch the stream later and see it come together? Because that also works. But anyway. Yeah, that's literally everything from me for today, though. Because I do have to head out very soon. I will probably also rewatch. Does that also mean that you want to see it now? Oof, yeah, well. I'm surprised that you made it, because you made it seem like you would not be able to. So, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. We had a good time, a casual old time. My setup's a little jank. I don't think I'm gonna have enough time to tear it down. Man, dude, if you have cats and stuff, and you need to set up like some weird setups for streams and stuff like that, it is just absolute hell. I close my door, but sometimes I need to like go in and out, and they'll just sneak in like really quick. One of my cats loves cables too. Like he doesn't chew them, but he'll just rub against them, which is enough to like knock things off tables still, which is really annoying. So it's like, please stop. Don't do that, please. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, that's everything from today though. Again, reminder, if you are a Twitch sub, the Discord has a sub chat, and I post stuff there. Some stuff that I'm working on ahead of time, like the stuff that I showed you earlier, and the stuff that we based our drawing off of today. That kind of stuff was in there that you would have been able to see early. But anyway, that is everything for me today. Again, I have all my social stuff linked below. We also have the Streamlabs bot in here. If you put ! socials, you get all the links to everything that is related to me. Hooray. But yeah, so that again is everything. I hope you guys enjoyed. We will be streaming again on Saturday as well, around noon. I say noon, but it's really around noon. I try for noon. I'm not always there. If you're in the Discord as well, I do put updates if I'm running a little bit behind. So that is the place to see for that kind of stuff if you want to know exactly when I'm going to be live. So, yeah. Either way, don't know what we'll be doing on Saturday, but we'll be doing something. We'll figure it out. I might say on Twitter when I find that out. So check that out there. But again, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. See you guys around. Take care. See you later.